It is a huge honor for me to be podcast interviewing my buddy, Dr. Tom Hedge. And where the heck are you, Tom?
I'm in Vieques, Puerto Rico on my buddy's sailing yacht. Taking a little time out here today. We just pulled into harbor in time to get a connection, so it's a good thing.
So you're on vacation, sitting in a boat in Jamaica, and you're podcast interviewing me. Now, how weird, how messed up is that?
That is weird. But it's cool. It's cool. I was worried we weren't going to be able to get in time, but we did, so it's good.
Well, hey, thanks for doing. Do we got a good connection?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Well, hey, let me read your bio. Dr. Hedge is widely known as one of the top-notch cosmetic dentists in the United States. Dr. Hedge received his bachelor degree from Kenyon College in Gambier, Ohio, where he majored in biology and chemistry. While studying at the Ohio State University College of Dentistry, he conducted research resulting in the publication of 7 abstracts and 1 paper and received numerous awards at the state and national levels.
Howard, that's so boring.
No.
I'm thinking, like, who is that guy?
You're a legend, and a lot of these people listening are kids. I think about 80% of them are at least under 30. After graduating from dental school, he completed a general practice residency at Richland Memorial Hospital in Columbia, South Carolina. This advanced education included training in anesthesia, pediatrics, emergency medicine, geriatrics, TMD treatment, endodontics, periodontics, orthodontics, oral surgery, prosthetics, and implantology. Dr. Hedge is a nationally recognized not only for excellence in clinical programs, but for his sound business practices that make full use of the newest technologies in dentistry. He is an alumnus of the renowned Las Vegas Institute for Advanced Dental Studies, as well as the Pankey Institute for Advanced Dental Education. Dr. Hedge is a frequent contributor in dental publications, as well as professional development magazines. How are you doing, Tom?
I couldn't be better. I mean, life's good.
So are you also drinking during this interview?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Actually, I was drinking a Coke, but there's a beer at 2 o'clock that's going to be open in honor of finishing this up.
Well, hey, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on the program is you and I are we both got out of school in '87, so we're both the same age and basically coming up on 3 decades. Next year will be 3 decades for us, 30 years. And you're a clinician, and we can talk about that, but you're also a very good businessman. We've seen a lot of changes in the business of dentistry in the last 30 decades. How would you describe it to these kids graduating today versus when you got out and I got out in 1987?
Oh, that's why I said, who is that guy that you're talking about with, advanced training and anesthesiology, all stuff I don't do anymore. I mean, you find your niche, you find what you want to do, and you've got to realize when you get out of dental school, you don't know anything. You think you do, but you just don't know a thing. And you have to start learning all over again. I learned my business skills from you at the Profitable Dentist meeting, 20 years ago, and we've just kind of come along with it. You've got to just pick it up from all different sources. It's time to learn.
But when you and I got out of school, there was a whole round of corporates. Orthodontic Centers of America was trading on the New York Stock Exchange. There was a dozen on NASDAQ. They all imploded. There was no corporate for a decade, and now they're all back in spades. Do you think the business environment is different? Again, Tom, every time somebody sends me an email, howard@dentaltown.com from this show, I swear to God, they're under 30. And so their questions are a couple of things. Should I work for corporate? Will corporate take over the whole industry? Or if the things that you learned in all those areas, and you got out of dental school and they got to find their niche, what areas would you recommend they focus on? I mean, they're getting bombarded with learn sleep apnea or learn Invisalign or learn how to place implants or get a CEREC CAD-CAM machine or get a CBCT and make surgical guides. It's overwhelming to them, and that's why I like to have really old guys like you. Remember, when I graduated from dental school, I was only 12. So that was about 50 questions. Pick a few of them and answer them.
Well, I think, geez, that was overwhelming. Let me back up one step and just get one thing on the table. I'm clinical director of a company called SmileSource, and basically I'm the one of the dentists that works for the company. Gary Rad's another one, and we kind of help advise the company in the direction to go. But SmileSource is a dental service organization of sorts, and it's kind of, you think of like a Heartland, only you still own your practice. Very unlike the typical Heartlands or Aspens or that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about it from that standpoint, because I have a lot of stats, and people may be wondering, like, well, how does he know that stuff? He's a dentist. 2 years ago, over 50% of the production done in dentistry was done in a corporate environment. New dental practices are going to the corporate environment situation either through purchase or setting up at the rate of 6 a day. So the writing's on the wall, and the advantages that major corporations have in buying power, in management, in dealing with team and HR and advertising and metrics. Metrics is such an important thing that you don't have access to as a dentist. I mean, Rick Workman has a whole department with Heartland that figures out what practices should be doing, what their targets are, and if they're not doing it, helping them to get there to do more of that kind of stuff. And we're trying to do some of that at Smile Source. We're just starting a program with that, but
but if you buy Dentrix, you can change the color of your font. Isn't that far more important than having it tied to an accounting package?
Yeah, I mean, you get it. And I guess getting back to the question of what should the young people out of school do is, I think owning your own practice is still the dream, and it always will be. You can run your own 401k, you take vacation when you want to. I mean, I'm on a 9-day trip that we did 3 weeks ago, and I did it because I could. I mean, nobody's telling me what to do. That's still the ultimate goal, but the problem is graduations rates are great. A lot of kids come out of school, but they're $250,000 to $400,000 in debt. I mean, that's crazy. How do you surpass that? And then you got to buy a practice too. I mean, it's just crazy, the situation today.
So what would you recommend? What do you recommend they do?
I don't know. I think joining corporate dentistry for a while is what a lot are opting for. They see that environment, they don't like it, but they've learned some things and gotten, some amalgams composites under their belt. And then they look to buying a practice from an existing transitioning practice. And you and I are baby boomers, and there are a lot of us. And we're getting ready to think about maybe someday retiring. And there's going to be a lot of practices out there available. Get in, be an associate, learn from your senior doctor. Don't go in there like you know everything, because you don't. And pick up whatever you can. That doctor's spent 20, 30 years with CE, being the best they can, hopefully. I mean, not everybody our generation did that, but a lot did, and there's a lot to be learned, and passing on, like we always did in the past, is still the best way to get into dentistry and get that practice you've always wanted.
So I was very impressed with Smile Source. I have no business interest. This is not a paid commercial. You didn't pay me to be on the show. But what I was impressed is they cut their teeth for several decades and got the optometrist market in response to the big corporate chains like Pearl Vision and all the glasses in about an hour. That's correct, right?
Yeah, it's a really great story. You got a minute for me to tell it story?
I do. I really love the story. I love two things about that company. They proved it, this strategy with optometrists, because optometrists were solo practicing business owners, and then these big corporate chains came out, and they were the response to that, and they got something like 90% of all the optometrists, which is just unheard of. I mean, if someone showed you a business plan and said, okay, this is based on you'll get half your customers, it's like, no, you should, that's not even possible. The other thing I liked about Smile Source is they got all my homies on board. They got you, they got Gary, they got Mike Maroon. I mean, seems like half my friends are in the management of that thing.
Well, your friends were all the smart guys out there. I mean, it was we all kind of flocked together and realized this is a great way to preserve private practice dentistry and allow us to survive in a competitive environment with the big guys. I mean, you as a private practice dentist can't go in to Henry Schein, your rep, and say, look, we want a 6% rebate on all products from major corporation X, and we want a 20% discount up front end. They're going to laugh at you. You're not going to get that. But we go in corporately and suggest that same deal and bring in 2 major vendors in each category and make sure that they stay competitive with each other. We get tremendous pricing advantages that our members get.
Well, tell the story. Go back in time to how they started with optometrists, because the optometrists saw the same pitch that we're seeing now. They saw that pitch 3 decades ago.
Sure. A visionary man who's the most humble, nicest guy in the world, Glenn Ellisor, who was in Houston, Texas, and saw that he was going to work for Walmart someday if it continued on the way it was. And he was looking at setting up another practice, being an associate, and realized that wasn't the dream that he wanted. He wanted his own thing. But he saw the competition, so he got together with some of his buddies, and they, instead of running Yellow Pages at the time was the way to go, running separate little, 16th ad-size pages, pay site, you know what I mean. They got a full-size ad, and they shared the advertising co-op, and it worked. So the next year they did more and brought some more people into it. Then they realized that there's more to it than that, and that they would meet monthly And as a group, they would collaborate and work together instead of dentists that usually go to a dental meeting, put on their suit, once a month and lie about their numbers, which we all know that's always how it's done now. My wife, Kathy Fraser, is a dentist as well, and she's the local administrator or leader of a group in Houston. We get together every 4 to 6 weeks, and we truly try to help each other. We talk about the advantages that we get with Smile Source and new programs, and we hold each other accountable too. That if somebody hasn't, ask them, how'd you do with that? We switched from Invisalign to ClearCorrect. How did you do with that? Well, I haven't done it yet. Well, why not? Come on, it's like way more advantages within our program with Smile Source to do ClearCorrect versus Invisalign. So it's just one example, but it's really cool. So Glenn then expanded and expanded. He started to bring on some of the top educators in optometry, and next thing you know, they've got 3,400 practitioners, over 3,000 practices, and 1 out of 5 optometrists is a Smile Source member. That's a heck of a number. So
say those numbers again for optometrists.
3,600 optometrists, over 3,000 locations, and 1 out of 5 optometrists are a member of Vision Source.
1 out of 5.
1 out of 5, yeah.
So they got 20% of the market.
Right, they do. That's a tremendous number.
Oh my God! I don't think you can get 20% of the dentists to agree that today is Friday.
Well, and think about it. If we hit that same number with Smile Source, which we will, it's just not going to take as long as it did in Vision. We would have there are 120,000 dentists. So we're going to have over 20,000 dentists in Smile Source someday. I mean, Heartland's the biggest group right now, and they've got over 700, maybe 800. So we're going to blow it out of the water. I mean, it's just a matter of time. So anyway, back to Glenn. Then they thought, well, if this worked in Vision, let's try it in dentistry. So it's a real slow start.
What year was that?
5 years ago.
Okay, 5 years ago. So 2016 minus 5. Ryan, can you give me the calculator?
09.
So 2009. No, 2011. Gosh darn, you have been drinking. So 2011, these guys had been in optometry for how long?
Oh, 25 years at that point.
So after 25 years of optometrists, they decided, let's do dental. They're getting the same pitch. It's going corporate. And what was their value proposition to dentists? What was their unique selling proposition? How were they going to help them stay independent?
They were going to apply the exact same model with the local meetings, the support system. We've had a lot more education than was back then. So the problem was then it was chicken or the egg. They couldn't go to vendors and say, hey, we've got some power of numbers behind us, because they didn't have any numbers. And then they can't go to the dentist and say, oh, we've got all these vendors that are supporting us, because there weren't any dentists. So once you reach that tipping point, which they did, when Kathy and I joined about 2 years ago exactly, there were 170 members, and we're well over 400 today. And that's tremendous. We're growing faster than Vision Source ever did.
I bet that's from Kathy, not you, because Kathy could probably talk me into it, but I don't think you could. she's just much cuter than you.
She talked me into something, and it's
so did they? So, but go back, because they went to Generation Next. I mean, wasn't they?
Yes.
That's where they got a lot of you from.
Yeah, at the time we joined, we got about 60 members from ACE or Generation Next, and we have more coming in all the time. But when I had joined, I was just a member, just joining. I was meeting with Trevor Maurer, our president, and Todd Nickerson, the vice president, and I realized that ACE and Generation Next had done education so well, but Smile Source wasn't really doing much education. So at the time, it was kind of like a marriage made in heaven. I said to Trevor, why don't you just buy us? I mean, we can bring all our educational components to you, and then you can give all our members all the other services you had. And he said, okay, let's make it work. And we did, and that's how I came on board as director of education.
But you know what got my attention about this first is Mike Maroon. These kids don't remember Generation X. That was like, what, 1987, 1980?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Generation then. It's gone.
He has been one of the biggest innovators in all of this. I think I probably stole more business idea innovation. Hell, Dentaltown I stole from him. I mean, I stole so many ideas from him. He's always a visionary. He always saw it his own way. He beat to a different drummer. And when he showed interest in this, his innovative mind, I mean, from the Face Institute, from the Generation X email list, which is, I think, where I met you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what year that was?
I remember, I don't know if you remember meeting me, but I remember being in the audience of 1,000 dentists at the Woody Oaks Profitable Dentist meeting. When was your first lecture with him? It was
But
probably like,
I was, yeah, I think 1990, or whatever. But what going back in the day? So before there were message boards, any of that stuff, I think it was CompuServe started the first email group exchange, and then someone told me about Generation X, and I signed up for Generation X, and I think I went and did a root canal for an hour or whatever, and I came back and checked my email, and there must have been like 800 messages in my inbox. Remember that?
yeah, I
And
do.
that was what made me start thinking about, okay, this can't be in the email box. This has to be outside of the email because it was just crazy. And
Yeah,
the other thing that was wrong with the emails, it didn't archive the conversation. So you'd ask a question about a case, then everybody would passionately explain the hell out of it, and then it'd be gone in
yeah.
forever. And then like a month later, some poor kid would join. He'd ask the same question, and no one would reply. And because we just exhaustively covered this, and then he'd walk away wounded, thinking, "Well, that group sucks." I mean, I asked a question, and only two people replied, and they didn't really say anything. So I saw the need for that. It had to be really organized and archived. Because
There's a funny story about how Mike Maroon started that. He'd been collecting email addresses in lectures for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden, he just put 800 people on the Generation X email list and didn't even ask them. He had people that were mad and said, "I'm getting all these emails," and he just said, "I don't care." He just said, "This is it. It started, and you're on."
yeah. So what did he like about Smile Source? What part of the vision and what got him? Because he's a real dentist. He's practicing. I think he's got 2 offices now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
In Connecticut.
One of the things, and you've been to plenty of ACE meetings in the past, is the camaraderie. I mean, we're all friends, and being part of something and belonging and seeing your friends, I think that appealed to Mike in a big way because he could stay with his friends and see each other at meetings. We have such a great time when we, have reunions.
And by friends,
once a year.
you mean alcoholic musicians?
No, alcoholic dentists. and sober ones too. There's all kinds there, but the other thing is the economics of SmileSource that appealed to Mike because he's a smart businessman is that you give SmileSource $1 every month and they give you $3 back every month, and it's a no-brainer. So Mike saw that, and he saw an opportunity to be involved with our education. So it just for Mike it was an easy decision.
Okay, so for Dentistry Uncensored, cut right to the chase. What is the value deal? How much does this cost? What do they get? Are there contracts? How do you get out of it? What if you don't like it? Talk nitty gritty.
Sure. It's just a you sign
I am very impressed. You got 400 dentists to sign up. I mean that is impressive.
Yeah, it's great, and we're growing like crazy too. So you sign up for a year, and you have an opt-out after 12 months. If you don't opt out, then you have a 5-year contract. So you're in for 5 years. At the end of that year, if you don't like what's happened, SmileSource will refund half of what you paid them back. They're that sure, and they've never had to do that. It just never happens. And the fee, what's it cost? It's a little over 1% of your collections. So
what is
a lot
it?
of people,
one what?
It ratchets it up every 6 months, and I think it's about 1.2 now. It'll
So
be
you pay them 1.2% of adjusted production collection of revenue, cash
adjusted,
in, not production.
Just collection, yes.
Okay, so it costs 1.2% of collection.
Yes.
So to add 1.2% to my overhead, you would have to save me at least 1.2%. So when they give you 1.2% of their money, how do they get their value back?
They are getting it in the form of we have a website. You log into it and you see our 115 vendors. We have a formulary.
That's smilesource.com.
Yeah, but you can't see it unless you're a member. It's their franchises and franchise laws apply, and everything's done exactly by the law, and I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So unfortunately, I can't tell you that information, but just suffice it to say, it's tremendous discounts from manufacturers coupled with rebates. Here's a really cool thing, back to the percentage. They've done this way in Vision for 30 years now. It's voluntary. I mean, it's the honor system. So you get this slip of paper you fill out in the mail every month, and you calculate your collections, and you take the 1.2% of it, and you send them a check. And it's totally on the honor system, and it's worked in Vision, and it's working in dentistry, and they haven't really had to go after anybody. They can legally if they want to out of your books, I guess, but it's just never been done. And it just seems to be in today's world, how many things can operate that way? It's just unbelievable. So the other things you get is education. Our national meeting is, if you sign up at the meeting, is $99. It's a 3-day meeting. It's like a dental town type 3-day deal. Tremendous opportunity. And then all our local meetings are $99 too. So we may bring in, like geriatrics is coming in June to Houston. And by the way, anybody can come to that if they want to. We encourage outside dentists to come to our meetings because if they meet our people and kind of drink the Kool-Aid, if you will, they always join because it's sort of a no-brainer. So tremendous national meeting. You know, we had ZZ Top open for our national meeting this year. That was so cool. Now, that's because we're in our meeting with the optometrists and we share the expenses, but...
do they still have the long beards?
Oh, yeah. They're so cool. Such cool guys.
They kept those beards their whole life, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's their thing, man.
Hey, well, I got to weigh in on what you said about the 1.2% rate. It's on the honor system. You know, that's what that economist, the Loathe curve optimal tax rate, where the Loathe curve is shows simply that neither a 0% tax rate or a 100% tax rate raises revenue. Somewhere in between the raised maximum revenue. That when your tax rates are too high, then everyone cheats. So when you would have tax rates in Italy of 80, 90% on the rich, well, then the rich didn't pay any taxes. And that if you make your tax rates lower, you get rid of cheating and stealing. So it probably works very well in an honor system because 1.2% is such a small percent that you'd probably be honest about that. But if they raise it to a high percent, then it would be incentivized to start cheating.
Yeah, and you get so much benefit. You feel bad if you're cheating because there's so much money you get back in forms of a lot of different things.
So it's mostly a play on supplies and equipment and continuing education.
Big parts of it, and Trevor, our president, always says, and Todd Nickerson, our business development vice president, they swear that it's a secret sauce is the local meetings where the doctors meet together and they work together and they help each other instead of the way dentists kind of cloistered monk kind of thing don't help each other, and meeting face to face on a regular basis and helping each other is a big factor. And who
are those two guys? What were their names and titles?
Trevor Maurer is the CEO and president of SmileSource, and Todd Nickerson is the vice president. Todd's kind of the business guy who...
Trevor Maurer, M-A-U-E-R?
Yeah.
And then what was the other guy's name?
Todd Nickerson.
Todd, T-O-D-D?
Yep, T-O-D-D-N-I-C-K-E-R-S-O-N. So here's an interesting thing. We did a survey with our members, and we did it with a major Wall Street consulting firm, and we found that there are 3 reasons why people are with SmileSource. One is a sense of camaraderie. They want to be part of a club. They want to be part of something. The other thing is that they need help, and they want people to mentor them and help them coach them through things. And the third thing is the discounts. Everybody joins for the discount because that's the easiest thing that you can just pick that apple right off the tree. And with time, they find that they stay for other reasons, and it kind of really equalizes out as time goes on. But it was Bain and Company that did that.
So the 3 things are they want to belong, they want help, and they want discounts.
Yeah.
And you think they join for the economic incentive discounts, but they stay for the camaraderie, the belongingness needs on Maslow's hierarchical scale, and helping get through this thing called owning your own dental office.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we surveyed our members and we know that. So it's we have happy members. The SmileSource in their history of 25 years. Some of my numbers may be off a teeny bit, but I think that they've had less than 2% drop out, and dentistry is tracking about the same way. So 98% of people are totally happy and join. You're a contract after contract. They just stay with it.
So you and your wife practice together, right?
We do.
And she's not with you on this vacation. She's back home doing MODs and crowns.
Oh no, she's out
while
there
you're on a boat
having a pina colada in the sun. She's having a boat drink.
Don't you think that's the smartest financial decision you can make in dental school? Is marry one of the girls in your class? I mean, don't you? Is there anything better you could come out of dental school with other than a degree, but married to a dentist from dental school?
It is a good thing. I mean, we really. The best thing for me is I was a CE junkie and she was too, and we travel together. So we do everything together. We go to meetings, and we have a ball, and it makes learning even all more fun. And we work it into vacations, and we're really stupid from the standpoint of we work the same hours. I mean, that's just dumb. We should stagger our schedule so we cover the whole week, but we really don't have to. I mean, we work 12 days a month, and we work together, and we're fine. I mean, we're getting up there, so we've kind of paid our dues and tucked our nest egg away, and that's something for the young dentists out there. I don't know if you've talked to them about it, but just stick to a financial plan and stick to it and fund it as you're supposed to. Don't just say I'll do it next year. Right, Howard? Isn't it?
Yeah,
Didn't you do that?
I always tell them, that, when you come out of school, if you work like no one ever has for 10 years, you'll reap like no one ever has for 30 years. And they come out and the married guy, the Mormons, the one who's got a stay-home wife with 3 kids at home, he'll listen. He'll go do 10-hour days, Monday through Saturday. He'll crush it. But the single guys, they want to leave at 4:30 because they want to get the happy hour and they're dating and they can't buy a laser or a CAD cam or a CBCT, but they go buy an $85,000 BMW because they want to pick up chicks and blah, 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 blah. And that's not what you do. I mean, you just, I came out of school married. We had 4 kids in 2.5 days. And I just put my nose down and just cranked out a decade. And if I spent any money, it was on baby formula, diapers, and dental equipment, and dental CE, and dental learning. And that's why we were successful. And I'm worried about the millennials because a lot of millennials, they look at their parents. Generation Xers around the world are saying, "I'm not going to have that many kids like my mom and dad did." The millennials are having less kids than the Generation Xers, and they want to work less hours. So they're more well-rounded.
I agree. You mentioned something about technology and buying things and lasers and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of cool. One of our labs was, and we haven't even talked about the labs with Smile Source, but we have, about 60 labs to choose from, a couple majors. But one of our major labs will actually give you a free 3M scanner. You know that $18,000 scanner, the 3M model? They'll give it to you because, and this is fascinating. They don't want impressions. They don't want them at all. Anytime it touches a human hand, there's room for error. So we scan the crown prep, scan the opposing, and send it off. They get a virtual model. The only reason they do that 3D print to put the crown on at the end is so when you get it back, you have a model to stick it on and off and say, that looks good, and maybe it'll fit in the mouth now. And so it's an advantage to them. They can afford to give away this $18,000 scanner because they know they'll make it up because there's so many of us, and they won't have to deal. And the price point on their crowns is unbelievable. I mean, it just...
Well, dentists always say they want to be higher quality. If you go up to a dentist and say, what kind of dentist are you? They always go, I'm a high-quality dentist. They never say, I'm a shitty dentist. They always say, I do really good dentistry. I want to work on you. They never say, man, I suck. Go run from me right now. Well, if you want to be a really high-quality dentist, magnification is the number one thing. Go from naked eyes to loupes, so you'll be a better dentist. Instead of taking a rubber impression and looking out with your monkey eyes, orally scan. What I like about that optic scanner is you see your prep 40 times larger, and I've never looked at my scan prep one time and didn't go back and touch it again. I mean, you just see it. And the labs say that when you send them a polyether polyvinyl, they have about a 6% remake, and when you send them an optical scan, they have a 1% remake. So they get rid of 5 out of 100. 5% remakes. I mean, think of the money that cost them.
Yeah.
And then the endodontist, they'll tell you the same thing. You want to do better endo before you fill that thing, before you obturate it. Endo's about taking everything out, not what you put in. And after you think you've taken all out, drop a microscope down, look at the floor of that thing 8 to 12 times larger, and you're going to find a missed canal. You're going to find one of those canals still filled with crap. And, that's just, you might want to fill it up with bleach and ultrasonically agitate it for 5 more minutes trying to get the crud out of that canal. But so magnification is everything if you want to be quality.
I agree. While we're talking about labs in the quality issue you just brought up, I want to address the 2 major objections that dentists have when I talk to mature dentists about joining Smile Source. One's about labs. Well, they'll say, well, I've been with my lab guy for 20 years. I can't leave him. Or that crown that you have for X amount of dollars must be crap. It can't be any good. Well, we have neuromuscular trained, high-end, really good quality labs. I can't name all the names, but we have some really super high quality labs down to major production labs that still do a nice job and give you crowns for next to nothing. But the objections that we get from dentists are, I can't leave my lab guy. Oh, okay, well, even if you don't use the lab side of Smile Source, it still pans out financially. The other thing I always get is that, well, I'm not switching my supplier. My Patterson rep's been with me for 30 years. And my Patterson rep had a Rolex, and I was wondering why. At least don't wear it in my office. I mean, it's okay if you've worked hard and paid your dues, but just don't flash that stuff around. The profit margin on supplies from Patterson and Shine are a magnitude leap above some of the supply companies that we use that have negotiated with Smile Source to provide our members with supplies. A tube of composite's a tube of composite. Doesn't matter where you get it, right? A1, 3M, Relax, Luting Cement's the same, no matter who it comes from. And the price difference can be, I shopped one of them. It was like a tube of cement. It was Dentsply's product. And it was $150 in a catalog, and we ended up getting it for $90. That's huge. You just got to buy smart, buy the right way, and stick with our formulary, and buy from our manufacturers that are on our formulary.
Let's stay on the crown and bridge. You said you said the dentists when they want to join, they want to they join for discounts, but it turns out after they've been there a long time, they like the CE, the belongingness, help from their peers. Back to the labs. The discounts were on supplies and labs, but we got about 12 to 14% of the American dentists have gone CAD/CAM in my career of 30 years. It went from pretty much 0 to 12 to 14%. I like the CAD/CAM part of the oral scanning, and a lot of me and a lot of my homies have found out that after having this thing for a long time that we're mostly using the oral scanner part in Sanitary Lab, because so many times, that the courses in CAD/CAM say, oh, you'll prep it, scan it, don't have to make it temporary, the whole thing will be done in about an hour. But when you talk to dentists, it doesn't get done in an hour. It doesn't get done in an hour and a half. A lot of times it's 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours. And in a busy day, sometimes you just scan it and email out the impression and then make it temporary. Making it temporary is a lot faster than milling out a chairside crown. But what do you think of this CAD/CAM revolution?
Oh, so Howard, background-wise, I've bought 3 CEREC units, and Kathy's bought 3 as well because we practiced separately at one time. So we've spent like $700,000 on CAD/CAM CEREC units. We have one in our office right now that's not the newest generation, one generation old, but we won't use it. It collects dust because for under $70, I am not going to mill out a crown. There's no friggin' way I'm going to mill out a crown. It's just not going to happen. And then Emax, you had to cook it in the oven, then you had to glaze it, and all those steps. It's at least an hour and a half if you're good. And then when you take it to the mouth, does it really look as good as the one in the lab can make?
No.
Probably not.
How can your dental assistant be as good as someone down at a lab that's been making 50 crowns a day for the last decade? And now your dental assistant's going to match that?
So, when you factor in what's a block cost, and then the milling burrs, and then the CEREC Happy Club for $350 a month, and all the other stuff, or I can just scan it, send it off, and get a crown back for twice the cost of a block. I'm not doing it.
Or what my buddy does right across the street from me. He does all of his scans. And then he has a lab person come in every Wednesday from 8 to noon, and she will come in and she will mill out the previous week's crowns, and those are perfect. But the ones his dental assistants do are average. So I've seen all kinds of hybrids, but I like the optical scanning, but the chairside milling. What percent of the people that come into the broken tooth need a crown say, I don't care what it costs, I just want it same day? It seems like half the people say, well, what is this going to cost? Will my insurance pay? I don't get paid till Friday. It's like half the questions are about the money. Then it switches over to pain. Well, you going to give me a shot? Can I have laughing gas? You going to knock me out? Or if you do that crown, will it need a root canal? But what percent of the customers that you've dealt with, patients in the last 30 years, wanting their crown done the same day is their top priority?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I thought this is a great marketing thing. I'll market to this, and nobody gives a hoot.
Yeah. I've heard it twice in 30 years, and they're both crazy cat ladies.
Yeah,
and that's a big joke.
Or somebody who had CAD/CAM in another place, and they come see us because they look for somebody with Xera because they liked it, but nobody knows about it. Nobody really cares. It's just as easy. And
so what would you tell a kid coming out of school if they said, Tom, should I buy a CAD/CAM? It's $145,000.
I would say no. You can buy mine for $10,000. I don't even know what it's worth. It's a piece of junk. I think it's not worth anything because it's one generation old. But it works great. It works perfectly. But I won't use it.
And this is why I love my show. It's Dentistry Uncensored, where 2 54-year-old honest guys can talk crap about. It's kind of like HBO. You can only hear profanity and dirty jokes on HBO. They don't have to care about their corporate advertisers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You need a laser. Got to have that. And
which laser would you recommend?
Oh, you know what? I love the AMD laser. Al Miller's a brilliant guy. You said the coolest guy in dentistry, the guy who started the company and figured out how to provide a laser for under $3,000.
Well,
Wasn't that
tell these kids how much we paid for laser when we got out of school in '87. How much was
oh my
How much
God.
was the laser?
They were like 20 grand, weren't they?
No, they were 50.
Oh, then see,
50
you were looking
grand.
sooner than I was.
I paid $50,000 for my lab and my first laser, and some Hoosier out of Indiana Alan Miller squeezes it down to $5,000. I mean, I'm pure genius that he could.
He
do that.
got it down to 3. I mean, it
Did
may
he
be a
get it
little more
down
than
to
that
3?
now. But when he originally came out with that AMD laser, it was $3,000.
My prediction is that if Al Miller lives to be 100 years old, our grandkids will be pouring a bowl of cereal, and out of their Cocoa Puffs will just fall a free damn laser.
Well, if you watch Al Miller on Facebook, he's not going to live 100 years. He lives too good a life.
I want to ask you something else very controversial, and I know you'll address it. So these kids are coming out of school, and they say, okay, I want to learn more about occlusion. I want to learn more about TMD. But they have to make a decision. These camps are very expensive. I mean, to go to Coyce and Spear or Pankey or LVI. And there's two different theories of occlusion. One is neuromuscular, and one is Pankey, Dawson, Coyce, CR, whatever you want to call it. Would you just call that other camp CR occlusion?
Yeah, I would.
Okay,
I would.
so CR versus neuromuscular. It's probably more controversy on Dental Town than sex, religion, politics, and violence combined. No one really argues about how to prep for an occlusal composite, but you can't get any two dentists to agree on TMJ, neuromuscular, CR. What would you tell them? Because what I want to pin you down to is, should I go to neuromuscular camp or should I go to CR camp?
Okay, I love this argument, and the reason I love it is I went through all Pankey. I did a couple levels of Dawson. Dawson is the first course I did out of school, and I realized, man, you don't know shit. You don't know a damn thing about occlusion. So I realized I didn't know what I didn't know. I started to learn. I went through Spear. Then I went to LVI, and I realized, why am I grabbing somebody's mandible and telling them to relax when they're fighting me and trying to wrestle their mandible into a posterior, whatever, superior position? I just let the TENS unit just guide me into a nice spot where they like to go, and they go back there every time. So that, to me, makes a ton of sense.
Okay, explain what you just said. That flew right over their head. That you get them relaxed with a TENS.
So a TENS unit is a transcutaneous electrical neurostimulation. Big word for there's two little pads that go right in front of their ears and one on their neck. And it provides a little battery-powered electrical pulse every 3/4 of a second. What that does is it drains the lymphatics, it gets good blood flow, it relaxes the muscles, it drops down the muscle spasms, gets the muscle in a good relaxed state. If you think about it, it's like going on a brisk walk instead of going on a jog or a sprint. You're just kind of getting your blood flow and just feeling good. And then you take your bite with that. And you really do need to learn that somewhere. I learned at LBI, and there's a great education. Thank you, Bill Dickerson. It was awesome. I think there may be some other places, but that's the route I would go. But I'll tell you, I think the biggest secret to occlusion is the T-scan. And, dentists are kind of like, well, that's $11,000. I'm not spending that. I can use a 5-cent piece of articulating paper on that. Well, sure, you see all your marks there, but which one hit first and which one hit harder? And I almost think it's malpractice practicing without a T-scan. I'll go that far as to say that. I use it every single day. Kathy and I have 2 of them. We use it all the time. I don't lecture for T-scan. I have anything to do with them, except I just love their products.
Someone told me you make all your money running illegal drugs on a sailboat from Jamaica back to Texas. Where are you right now, by the way? Are you in a sailboat on Jamaica?
We're at Vieques Island, which is kind of interesting. This island, it's off the east coast of Puerto Rico. The U.S. Navy owned it until 1982, and they used it for bombing run practices. It's beautiful. I mean, we just saw a tank on the beach yesterday. It was all bombed to everything. But
man, I hope there's not any unexploded ordnance on that
island.
island.
It's all over on the west end of the island. You're not allowed to go down there. They're cleaning it up slowly. But it's called the Spanish Virgin Islands, and nobody ever goes here. It's between St. Thomas and Puerto Rico itself.
Okay, so you're telling my homies they need to pay $11,000 for a T-scan. To make that statement, you got to talk more about that. Well, why?
Okay, so I have patients that come in all the time, and they'll say, "Yeah, my last dentist, he put this crown, it's never been right. I know it's high. He ground on it, and it just hasn't been right. I put the T-scan in, boom, there's a big red bar. So what does it show you? It's a mylar strip connected to a little handle. It goes between the teeth. You press a button and you say chomp. They chomp together. Then you look on the screen. There's a little U-shaped occlusal arch form, and there's little bars of different heights and different colors. And the red ones are the tall ones, and the red ones are the ones that are hitting harder. There's also something called force outliers, which is basically a button you press and tells you which tooth hit first. So it makes adjusting a bite simple. A monkey could do it. You have them bite, you look up the screen, okay, tooth number 5 hits first. Go adjust it. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Now you do another scan. Bite. Now tooth number 14 hits first. Buzz, buzz, buzz. All right, everything's hitting in the same time window now. Now let's equalize the pressure and forces on it. And it shows you right-left ratio. I have patients that come in 80% on the right, 20% on the left. They say, my bite feels a little funny. No freaking wonder. It's like 5-to-1, right to left. And I fix it, and every single time they say, oh my God, my bite has never felt so good. I love that thing.
Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Okay. Come on, Doc. When people chew, their teeth don't even touch.
Okay, but when they swallow, they touch, and they swallow 800 times a day, and every time you swallow can set your muscles afire or cause an irritation or can make that tooth sore or make the gum around it sore. Make sense to you?
Yeah, I just want you to clarify. I mean, I've been reading these debates on the Dental Town since 1998. I'll give you throw two more things at you. Dude, it's all mental because 90% of the patients are women and they're of a certain age and it's all stress related.
Well, that's the thing with the T-scan. It's not. I mean, you just look at the screen and you can see it. Or they'll turn and look at the screen and say, I knew it. It was that tooth up there on the upper left. He never found it before. You know, it's the game's over. It's right or it's not. It's never right. I mean, it's right after I fix it, but it's every time I adjust a bite, it's iatrogenic adjustment. It's always on a filling or crown 90% of the time.
One last devil's advocate on TMJ, neuromuscular, CR, occlusion. Dude, it has nothing to do with the teeth. It's their sleep apnea. They're grinding their teeth, waking themselves up at night. It all has to do with their sleep. It's malpractice if you do any TMJ work or give anybody a bite split without having them have a sleep study.
You know, it's the leg bone connected to the tailbone, all that kind of stuff. Everything's related, and yes, you probably should look at it. Some people more likely than others. You know, if you see a big fat guy whose wife says he snores like a hog, and he's got a scalp tongue, and all these other signs and symptoms, you probably ought to go have a sleep study. But you still can fix his bite and still solve the other stuff. It's just all related.
But I ask my 2 cats every morning if I snore, and they just look at me. I can't get a straight answer. I don't know what to do. I want to pin you down on more specifics. I'm coming out of school. Everybody, when you say they didn't teach you this in dental school, everybody's been whining about that since Fred Flintstone. I mean, God, they take you from off the street working at Taco Bell to giving you a license to do root canals in 4 years. I mean, that's a miracle in and of itself. So to complain that you didn't learn how to do every single thing in known to man is crazy. But where should I put my money? I mean, what would be the best return on investment? There's CAD/CAM. There's CBCT, surgically guided implants. There's sleep apnea. There's Invisalign, or you said clear correct. There's so many things to do, and you and I, everything you mentioned, I did Pankey and DOS, and I did them all. But you got to take them in order. You just can't come out of school and buy every CE curriculum known to man. So put it in some kind of order.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that they have $350,000 of student loans and want a return on investment of this stuff. They don't want to learn a bunch of theory. They want to learn something that will impact the bottom line.
Okay, I've got a great idea. If I was coming out of school, I would want to meet myself right now, because I would tell that young person coming out of school to join Smile Source, find a practice that's been kind of not diagnosed and not very expensive and not doing much production. Join Smile Source, because you won't pay 1% of nothing's nothing. I mean, you're not going to have much production or collection in the beginning. You'll get a lot of free CE, basically next to free CE, $99, and you'll have a group to meet with and to help mentor you. I can't think of a better situation than that. Now, if you're going to pin me down and say, all right, that's fine, but not everyone's going to do that. So give me another idea. What would you buy first? I would definitely learn to do ortho, aligner therapy. It's ClearCorrect and Invisalign make it so a chimpanzee can do it. I mean, I don't even do it. I mean, assistants take the impressions, send them off. The companies do all the alignment for you.
Are you scanning the impressions, or are you taking old-fashioned alginates or polyvinyls or polyethers? What are you taking?
We're taking old-fashioned impressions because...
With what?
We're using a polyether.
Okay.
I use Permadyne Garant. I've used it for. I asked a lab 30 years ago, what impression material should I use? Which ones you get the least remakes on? And they told me that one.
Permadyne, who makes that?
3M SB. It's
So,
the most expensive impression material there is. It's outrageous, but it nails it every
and this
time.
is why dental manufacturing is so lucrative and averages about a 50% profit margin, gross profit margin, is because dentists are so brand loyal. You said you've been using it for how many years?
Oh, the 30.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
the reason that works in dentistry so much is because you got to learn so much stuff. It's so overwhelming. If you got anything that doesn't have a problem, the last thing you're going to do is try to fix that. So
yeah.
so you haven't had any problems with your impression material for 30 years. So nobody's going to get you to switch.
No.
Dentists are probably one of the most brand loyal industries in the S&P 500, and they all know the dental manufacturers. They all know it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of
So-
our major manufacturers with SmileSource wanted to get other companies' products that aren't on formulary out of our offices. So they said, if you buy one and turn it in the other manufacturer's product in, I'll give you 2 more free of the same thing, up to 5 of each item. And I can't tell you what company or whatever, but I mean, that was just a tremendous financial opportunity for us, the dentists, but also from that manufacturer. They got all the other guys' stuff out of your office because your dental assistant runs out of something. What do? They order the same thing because they're afraid if they switch it, the doctor will raise hell. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm still on Impergum from 1987.
Well, Impergum is the original version of they're the same family. They're
Oh,
polyethers.
it's poly. Oh, I did not know that. So Permadyne is Impergum.
Yeah, there's that one polyether plant in the world. It's in Germany, and it all has to be made there.
SB.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
3M SB. It's the same product. We're using the same thing, Howard.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only thing.
You would your first thing you'd recommend is clear aligner ortho, and you said you used to do Invisalign, and now you switched to ClearCorrect. Wasn't that both the same founder? Wasn't the founder of Invisalign Pakistani engineer guy? They did Invisalign, then they kind of fired him like Steve Jobs. Then when he legally was free again, he went to Dallas and started again.
Yeah, I think it was also Dr. Pumphrey's out of Houston did a lot of Invisalign and helped them develop it, and he was they're related.
So then it really should be the same thing, but you're saying it's not, or is it just a difference on price?
It's a difference on price within our program, and it's tremendous. It's half. It's
half.
Just,
so price is king.
Because Invisalign then nickel and dimes you for the
But
Vera
I walk
retainers.
into a room, I'll be lecturing to 300 dentists. I'll say, how many of you did an Invisalign case and hardly any hands go up? What do you make of that?
I think that they don't want to jeopardize that fruit basket that they get at Christmas from their orthodontist. I mean, if they do ortho, they might not get that. I don't know, Howard. That's ridiculous. It's crazy not to do your own ortho.
I think a big part of it is because there's 9 specialties. When you walk out of school, you've done all the specialties, but ortho, I mean, they just successfully keep orthodontic education out of dental school curriculums. You come out, the endodontists help you do root canals in school, the oral surgeons help you pull teeth, the pediatric dentists want you to treat kids. Every specialty wants to help you learn their specialty except ortho. I mean,
I totally agree.
You just routinely walk out. It's like, how many root canals do you? 15. How many fillings? 50. How many extractions? 50. How many pulpotomy crumbs, little crowns? 15. How many endo? How many ortho anythings? Nothing. And then you look at their ortho curriculum, and it's like all this theoretical, infantile, both and cranial development, all the information that would never apply to doing orthodontics. It's like facial growth and development from neonatal to embryo to fetus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I went to Ohio State, and everybody's seen the Script Ohio our band does on the field. Those ortho instructors made us bend a wire in Script Ohio. What a great way to discourage you. And they'd say, "Oh, this sucks. It doesn't even say Ohio." Well, of course it does, because we know what we're doing. That's a complex thing. Crazy what they made us do.
Yeah. So okay. So you're talking to my homies. They just it's May 27th. They just walked out of school. They've had no ortho training. And Tom's saying, start learning ClearCorrect, and they're like, oh, how hard is this to learn? Or Invisalign? I didn't get any ortho training. How am I going to learn this?
So I suspect that ClearCorrect training is free. I think they got a lot on modules, and Invisalign charges like $1,500 or $1,800, something like that. But really all you do is you take upper lower impressions, a bite, and photos. You send all that stuff to a clear aligner company, and then next thing you know, online you've got a virtual 3D model of the teeth, how they are, and where they're going to move to. And if you like that and it looks good, you say, okay, I'm good with that, and then send you the aligners.
And
it's a little more.
And what percent of the time do you check okay or it's not okay and you have to?
Oh, I 90% of the time I'm fine with what they do. Sometimes they leave spaces where I don't like them, or they make you do some reduction between the teeth where I don't want to do. But that's all they do. It's just like the lab technician. Those technicians in Costa Rica that do all that stuff are a young, intelligent, educated population, and they've been trained and have orthodontists looking over their shoulder. I mean, they know what they're doing. So they essentially teach you as you go, but it's not difficult. Pick an easy case, lower anterior crowding.
Okay, so you first came out of school, you said clear aligner, orthodontics, Invisalign, clear correct. What would be the second step of that stairway? No, first you said join Smile Source. Second you said clear aligner, ortho. What would be the third?
That's a tough one because in our practice, Kathy and I do a lot of cosmetics, and I would try to get some veneer course, some cosmetic course under my belt early on, so I kind of knew what I was doing.
Who would you listen to?
There's so many choices out there. I mean, I'd probably just go on Dental Town and inquire about all the ones out there. I did it so long ago. You know, I did it when...
Let me ask you another question. And tell me if you agree with this or not, because you know, we each have our own journey, we each have our own perception, but it seems like we're both graduating in '87, we're both in our early 50s. It seems like if I lined up 100 of my friends that are 50 that did had $1 million office and took home 350, that's crushing in my opinion. None of them place implants. None of them do all the things you talk about. They just have a restorative practice. They just do recall, fillings, and crowns. Is that,
yeah?
Do you see that, or do you not see that?
I would agree that very few of them do implants. Of my buddies out there that have that kind of practice.
The point I was trying to make is that if you have a passion to go to Aaron Garg's course in the Dominican Republic and learn how to place implants, or you have a passion to mill out all your own crowns, CAD/CAM, or be laser man, if you have any of those passions, go follow your dreams and do it. But so many dentists do that because they think that's the silver bullet to be a successful practice. And to be a successful practice, you got to be a successful businessman. And it doesn't matter if you're making donuts or dentistry. It doesn't matter if you offer implants or Invisalign, or it doesn't matter. So I always tell them, get your damn house in order. Start making money in your restaurant first before you decide to travel all the way to Italy to learn some new lasagna, meatball, spaghetti recipe. Whereas I think they think, well, my office sucks. My overhead's out of the sky. I don't get any new patients, so I'll learn how to place implants.
Yeah, you know, Howard, that goes back to back before I quit lecturing. I would always throw this into every conversation because you get asked, like, you've got great customer service. What's the one thing you can do? It's not one thing. It's 1,000 things. And when you do those 1,000 things all right, then people say, wow, that's 5-star customer service. But it's not just doing the paraffin wax hand thing. It's not having the TV on the channel they like. It's not greeting them by name. It's 1,000 different things that go to that. And being a good dentist, unfortunately, you got to learn a lot. I mean, Kathy and I, the reason we're successful is we've got a menu with a lot of stuff on it. There's pages of stuff that they can choose from. And we slow down in one area, there's something always that picks us up. And I know you can't do that immediately, but, you know, learn all you can online. That generally is there and free for the taking. So,
So what else? So describe what you guys are doing mostly. You said you do a lot of cosmetics. So what describe what you guys are mostly doing. And what's it? You're in Houston?
Yeah, we're in Houston. We're in urban, wealthy Houston. I mean, our clientele is a wealthy clientele, so it's somewhat an aberration. And when I run our production reports, because that helps me decide on where to put our advertising dollars, our like 70% of our income's from cosmetics, veneers, full mouth rehab, that kind of stuff. Then the next category is like 20% is from aligner therapy, and then, you know, various and sundry from there down. So I plow our money in marketing and advertising into those categories, because you got to look at who's you know, paying you for what you're doing.
And to give the 83% of our listeners are from the United States, the rest 17% are from around the world. Obviously, oil went from $100 a barrel down to dropped as low as 30. I think, what is it back up to last week? 50 or something like that. But has that had an impact? I mean, you're in Texas. That's Texas, Louisiana.
we're in Houston, energy capital of the world. I mean, it
So
it should have crushed. It should have
rock
crushed
the
us.
city?
It didn't. There were a lot of layoffs, and a lot of the oil companies, but our economy diversified so much from the last oil crushing event that it wasn't so bad. Yeah, we've had a lot of executives get laid off, but a lot of people have saved their money or they're moving on to other things. And the biggest medical center in the world is in Houston, so a diversified economy. It's actually 3 different hospitals. The DeBakey, the artificial heart was developed there, and then the competitor, I can't think of his name. Anyway, just pioneering stuff. There's MD Anderson's there.
MD Anderson.
But there's a lot of great hospital systems there.
But the 4 best hospitals for cancer in the United States, which average over a 10% higher 5-year survival rate, are Houston's MD Anderson, the Sloan Frederick Keating in Manhattan, Mayo, and what's the other one? What's the 4th one? Mayo.
Cleveland Clinic?
Cleveland Clinic. So those 4 routinely, every time someone analyzes that, they do have a 10% higher 5-year survival rate.
Hey, Howard, I got to throw one more thing in that I think is just a miracle in our practice. Remember the phase contrast microscope? We learned about it way back and whatever. I didn't buy one for years. We use it all the time. It's nothing like taking a plaque sample. It's $6,000 for the top of the line model. We paid for ours in 2 months. Take a plaque sample, spread it on a little slide, and then there's a poster up next to it that shows good, moderate, and bad bacteria, and the spirochetes are the bad ones. When people see that, they see all those little swimming snakes. They're like, "Get that stuff out of my mouth. Can we start now?" I mean, this is the most unbelievable hygiene production device there is. So maybe for somebody right out of school, it's going to have a lot of hygiene and maybe getting a lot of people through. That's a fairly inexpensive tool. That there's easy education on it. You can learn online. It's very simple, and it's take the plaques. You don't even do it. Our hygienist does it, but man, it just scares the heck out of me, and rightfully so.
I wish you'd write that article up in Dental Town or do an online C course. Now, that was called the Keys technique, right?
Keys was brushing with baking soda, but one of his big things was to use the microscope to help figure it out. I think he was key in the whole thing.
And was that the key to that, or was it even before him with Bob Barkley?
I don't know.
We just lost Bob Ibsen last week. That just literally ruined my day. He died last week in '83. But I sent so many emails out saying one of the biggest problems in dentistry. I remember when I was a kid, Mom would take you to all the grandpa's cemeteries, and the only thing you saw of your grandpa was 2 numbers with a dash in between, and that dash was their whole life. And now what I think is cool about Facebook is there's 30 million dead people on Facebook. So 100 years from now, their great grandkids can look up and say, "Oh my God, my grandpa went to Jamaica and he was a dentist," and they get to see you and hear you. And so many of the legends in dentistry, like Bob Barkley, they didn't make it to YouTube. And so I've been sending out so many emails. If you're listening to this, I want Bob Barkley. I want because it's kind of like these great songs. Like Sheryl Crow will come out with a great song, and the kids will go, "My God, she's awesome!" Dude, that's a remake. The Rolling Stones or Rod Stewart did that when I was your age. And some of these, the greatest stories in dentistry, need to be remade. And the phase microscope, like you said, it's just unbelievable power. Why did it go away? Why did I? Because in my office, I don't ask you if you've had herpes, gonorrhea, syphilis, or AIDS, because I don't know how that's going to affect me doing a filling on your tooth. But I do ask them, why did you leave your last dentist? And the number one reason said in my office in Phoenix, Arizona is this: "Well, I went to Tom Hedge and I just wanted to get my teeth clean. And he wanted to do all this 4 quadrants of blah, 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 blah. I just want to get my teeth clean." And then when I look in the mouth, 100% of the time, they need 4 quadrants replaned. It's a mess. So it was the sales job failed.
Yeah, totally agree.
And if these people come in and you throw their bugs, and I'd like to get their spouse in there too, because I still can't believe that everybody knows you can pass bacteria beneath the navel with an STD, but then these dental offices are cleaning the mom every 3 months for 10 years. They've never seen the dad. And he's slobbering this crap in her mouth every night, and no one, and it doesn't dawn on anybody. They only think an infection can be transferred below the navel. I always tell people, well, what if they stood on their head? Would it cure all their STDs? So that phase microscope needs to come back. That was a great tip.
And the neat thing too now is you're not looking through eyepieces. It goes to a color monitor that's right next to it. So it's not like you kind of like, I kind of see, I'm not sure, what is that? Like you're just pointing to it with your finger on
And
the
all
screen.
you see is your eyelashes anyway half the time. You're looking
Exactly.
at that thing,
I could never see through the damn thing.
I know.
Exactly right. So
that needs to come back. How do we make that come back? You
well,
want to
Bill
write an
Anders
article on it, or?
Bill Landers from Ortec, I bought my microscope from him. He is an incredible wealth of knowledge on the whole thing.
Is he your buddy?
Yeah.
Will you email him and tell me I want to podcast him?
Sure, absolutely.
Bill what?
Bill Landers.
Bill Landers, Ortec. Is that St. Louis?
I think they're in Ohio. I'll send you the info. I'm also going to send.
How come and people from Ohio, they'll say in Kansas, where'd you go to? KU, K-State. Whenever it's Ohio, they always say, I went to the Ohio State University. They always have to say the and the accent. Have you noticed that?
Well, I went there. Of course, I went to the Ohio State University. It's in the name. It's in the seal. It's the way it's supposed to be said because it is the Ohio State University.
I think it's the only university on earth that everybody puts a the in front of it.
It's true. Kid drives Kathy crazy. We'll be going through airports no matter where. I yell out OH when I see a shirt, and they'll answer IO every single time. Drives her nuts. She hates it.
They'll answer what?
IO. If I say OH, they'll answer IO, like Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. Oh, okay. That is hilarious. Yeah, well, we're down here in Phoenix, so a lot of times there's big bowl games down here. And everybody loves it if there's two teams in it, whether it's Ohio State or Nebraska, because god dang, everybody from that state will come to that game, even if they don't get tickets. I mean, the whole city turns red. Their fans are just brutally faithful.
Yeah, and it's cold there, too, and they go to Phoenix. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Right around Christmas.
Yeah. Well, hey, buddy, that's our hour. I cannot believe that you're so passionate about dentistry that while you're down there on a cruise or on a boat, a sailfish on an island off of Jamaica, that you took time to call me on your iPhone, your buddy Howard, and talk shop for an hour. But I sincerely appreciate it, really.
It's because you're so hard to get in with. I booked this in January. I wasn't going to miss it again, so.
Is that right? Well, hey.
Congratulations.
Jamaica, man. Are you going to go on the Big Island?
We're in Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico. I'm sorry. Puerto Rico, yeah. God, I love the Caribbean. And you know what we need to do? We need to go to Cuba. You know, when the wall comes down, when are the airplanes going in there? You know what?
This is I went to a 5-day ozone treatment and dentistry conference there 2 years ago. I've been to Cuba. They use ozone all the time, which is a whole nother podcast, which is just fascinating. Maybe Bill Dome would be better because he's an expert on it, but I'll hook you up with that. Ozone treatments in dentistry are unbelievable how effective it is.
Well, it'd have to be. I mean, it's O3, and you're killing anaerobic bacteria.
Yeah, and there's no immunity to it. It kills everything. It kills funguses, spores, prions, you name it. It kills it except human cells. It won't kill human cells. It's unbelievable.
Well, get him on there. But you went to Havana 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So you had to fly to another country first and then
No, because it was one of those. It was an educational mission. We went there to learn about ozone for an international conference.
Well, so now their Berlin Wall's down. When are U.S. flights going to be going in there regularly?
I don't know. But, I wouldn't. It was a pain in the ass. You couldn't use your credit cards. The internet was like molasses. It was fine to see it once, but they need a few years to get some.
But how many dental schools and dentists are on that island?
I don't know, but we went to a dental school, and it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, drink a pina colada for me.
On my way. All right,
buddy. Seriously,
thanks, Howard.
You've been an idol of mine for 30 years. I've seen you lecture. I've been in courses with you. Seriously, all kidding aside, you are a legend to me. You're an idol of mine. Thank you for all that you've done for me personally and for dentistry for the last 3 decades.
Hey, thanks, Howard.
And tell Mike Maroon that the last thing Howard says is he doesn't know who he stole more ideas from, Mike Maroon or you. I've been lifting all your genius wisdom for 30 years. All right, buddy. Take care.